The Point Pleasant Investigation, a cryptozoologist's account. Michael Thatcher, independent cryptozoologist. Field report, Mothman of Point Pleasant, Mason County, West Virginia. October-November 2022. Prologue, Why I Hunt. Let me be clear from the start. I'm not my sister. Marion writes these careful, academic reports filled with ethical considerations and cultural sensitivity and all that other stuff that makes for boring reading. Me? I'm here for the thrill. I'm here for the evidence. I'm here to find these creatures, document them, and prove to the world that cryptids are real. And if I get some killer footage for my YouTube channel in the process, even better. The Mothman has been on my bucket list since I was a kid. A 7-foot-tall creature with glowing red eyes and a 10-foot wingspan, appearing before disasters, scaring the hell out of people in Point Pleasant, West Virginia? That's not just a cryptid, that's a legend. That's the kind of case that makes careers. So when reports started surfacing in October 2022 about new Mothman sightings, multiple witnesses, consistent descriptions, genuine fear in their voices, I packed my gear and headed to West Virginia without hesitation. Marion told me I was being reckless. She said I should research the cultural context and develop a systematic approach and blah blah blah. I told her I'd send her a postcard from Point Pleasant. Spoiler alert. I ended up calling her 2 weeks later, desperate for help. But we'll get to that. Day 1. Arrival in Point Pleasant. Point Pleasant is a small town on the Ohio River, population around 4,000, and its entire identity is built around the Mothman. There's a Mothman museum, a Mothman statue, a Mothman festival every September. The town has embraced its cryptid celebrity status in a way that's both charming and commercial. I checked into a motel and immediately started hitting the local spots, diners, bars, the museum, asking about recent sightings. Small towns love to talk, especially about their famous monster, and especially to an enthusiastic guy with a camera and a willingness to buy rounds. By the end of day 1, I had 3 solid leads. Jerry Hastings, a truck driver who'd seen something with glowing red eyes standing on Route 62 at 2 a.m. just 2 weeks ago. The Morrison sisters, 2 teenagers who'd been near the TNT area, the Old World War II munitions site where the original sightings occurred, and heard something with massive wings fly overhead. Dale Carpenter, a local contractor who refused to work on a renovation project near the old power plant because that thing is back, and I'm not getting caught out there after dark. This was perfect. Multiple recent sightings, genuine fear, and a location with historical significance. I was going to catch this thing on camera. I could feel it. Day 2, Jerry Hastings. I met Jerry at a truck stop diner. He was in his 50s, weathered from years on the road, and clearly uncomfortable talking about what he'd seen. MT. Jerry, thanks for meeting with me. Tell me about your sighting. JH. Look, I don't want to be on YouTube or whatever. I'm only talking to you because Linda at the diner said you were serious about this, not just some tourist looking for a thrill. MT. I'm absolutely serious. I'm a cryptozoologist. I study unknown creatures. What you saw matters. JH, all right. I was driving Route 62, coming back from a run to Columbus. It was about 2 a.m. Road was empty. I came around a bend and there was something standing in the middle of the road. At first, I thought it was a person, so I slowed down. But as I got closer, I realized it was too tall, too wrong. It had to be 7 feet, maybe more. And the eyes. They reflected my headlights red, bright red, like nothing I've ever seen. MT, what did it look like? Describe it as detailed as you can. JH, man-shaped, but hunched forward. The shoulders were huge, broader than any person. And then it spread its wings, and I mean wings, not arms, actual wings, and they had to be 10 feet across, maybe more. The whole thing was dark, gray or black, hard to tell in the headlights. MT, what did you do? JH, I stopped the truck, just sat there, frozen. It looked at me, turned its head and looked right at me through the windshield, and I felt, I can't explain it, dread, like something terrible was going to happen. Not that it was going to attack me, but that something bad was coming. Then it launched itself into the air and flew away. I've never seen anything move that fast. It was gone in seconds. MT. Have you seen it since? JH. No. But I stopped driving that route at night. I take the long way around now. I don't care if it adds an hour. I'm not going through there after dark again. Jerry's account was solid, consistent with classic Mothman descriptions, genuine emotion, no apparent motive to fabricate. I got his permission to use his testimony and headed to my next interview. Day 3, the Morrison sisters. The Morrison sisters, Ashley and Brittany, ages 16 and 18, met me at a McDonald's in town. They were nervous, giggling and whispering to each other, but their story was compelling. Ashley, we were at the TNT area just hanging out. We know we're not supposed to be there, but everyone goes there. Brittany, it's creepy, which is like the point. All those old concrete bunkers from World War II, the woods, the Mothman history. It's a dare spot. MT. What time was this? Ashley, like 8 or 9 p.m. It was dark but not super late. Brittany, we heard it first. This sound like whoosh whoosh whoosh. Really loud, really fast. Like helicopter blades but different. Ashley, then we saw the shadow. Something huge flying overhead, between the trees. We couldn't see details because it was dark, but it was big. Way bigger than any bird. MT. Did you see the eyes? Brittany, no, it was flying away from us. But we felt it. That sounds stupid, but we felt like something was watching us even after it flew away. Ashley, we ran back to the car and got out of there. Haven't been back since. The sisters were clearly shaken despite their attempts to play it cool. Teenagers love to embellish stories, but their body language and emotional responses seemed genuine. Something had scared them. I decided the TNT area would be my primary investigation site. If the Mothman was active there, that's where I needed to be. Day 4, the TNT area. The TNT area is a sprawling complex of abandoned concrete bunkers built during World War II to store explosives. The military abandoned it decades ago, and nature has reclaimed most of it. It's creepy as hell. Overgrown, decaying with those massive dome-shaped bunkers scattered through the woods like alien structures. It's also where the original Mothman sightings occurred in 1966 to 67. I spent the afternoon scouting locations, setting up trail cameras, and planning my evening observation. The place had a genuinely oppressive atmosphere. Too quiet, with that feeling of being watched that makes the hair on your neck stand up. Around 7 p.m., as darkness fell, I established my position near one of the larger bunkers with clear sight lines to the sky. I had night vision equipment, multiple cameras, audio recorders, and enough batteries and memory cards to document whatever appeared. By 10 p.m., nothing had happened. No sounds, no sightings, no red glowing eyes. Just me sitting in the dark, getting progressively colder and more bored. Then, at 10:47 p.m., I heard it. Wings. Massive wings. Beating the air with a sound that was both powerful and wrong. Not like bird wings, heavier, more forceful, with a rhythm that seemed too slow for the speed of movement. I grabbed my camera and scanned the sky. First, I saw nothing. Then, silhouetted against the clouds, I saw it. A large, dark shape flying overhead, wings spread wide. It was too far for clear details, but the size was unmistakable. Nothing natural was that large. I fired off photos, knowing they'd be grainy and distant, but hoping for something usable. The creature circled twice, then flew toward the river and disappeared. My hands were shaking as I reviewed the photos. They showed a dark shape with wings, but the distance and night conditions made identification impossible. Could be a large bird, could be the Mothman, could be something else entirely. Frustrated but excited, I decided to come back the next night with better equipment positioning. Day 5, Dale Carpenter and the Warning. Before my second night at the TNT area, I tracked down Dale Carpenter, the contractor who'd refused to work near the old power plant. He was reluctant to talk, but I caught him at a job site during his lunch break. MT. Dale, I heard you had an experience that made you refuse to work near the power plant. Can you tell me about it? DC. Who told you that? MT. I'm a researcher, I ask around. Look, I'm not here to mock you or cause trouble. I'm investigating the Mothman seriously. DC. Long pause, all right. But this doesn't go in the newspaper or on TV. MT deal. DC. I was doing an estimate for a renovation job at a property near the old power plant. Late afternoon, sun still up. I was walking the perimeter of the building when I heard something in the trees. Something big moving through the branches. I looked up and saw it perched in a big oak tree, maybe 40 feet up. It was hunched over, holding onto the trunk with these claws. The body was man-shaped but covered in gray feathers or fur, hard to tell from that distance. And the eyes, bright red, glowing, staring right at me. MT, what did you do? DC. I backed away slowly, got in my truck, and left. Called the property owner and said I couldn't take the job. He asked why. I said I didn't like the site conditions. I wasn't about to tell him I saw the Mothman. He'd think I was crazy. MT. Have you seen it since? DC. No. And I'm not looking for it. That thing. There was something wrong about it. Not just that it was weird looking, but it felt wrong. Like seeing it meant something bad was going to happen. That phrase again. Something bad was going to happen. Multiple witnesses describing the same sense of dread. The same premonition. The Mothman's reputation as a harbinger of disaster wasn't just folklore. It was a consistent element of modern sightings. Day 610. The obsession begins. Over the next several days, I became increasingly obsessed with capturing clear evidence of the Mothman. I spent every night at the TNT area or near the power plant, setting up elaborate camera arrays, using different positions, trying different approaches. I saw it 3 more times. Day 7. A distant shape flying over the river at dusk. Day 8. Something with glowing red eyes watching me from a tree line, gone when I approached. Day 9. A large shadow passing overhead, close enough that I felt the displacement of air from its wings. But every photo was grainy. Every video was distant. Every encounter was too brief or too dark for definitive documentation. I was getting frustrated. I knew it was there, knew it was real, but I couldn't get the proof I needed. I started taking risks, going out alone at night to more remote areas, approaching locations where I'd seen the eyes without backup, setting up equipment in dangerous positions on crumbling structures. I was so focused on getting the perfect shot that I stopped thinking about safety, stopped considering whether I was putting myself in danger. The Mothman had become an obsession, and I was willing to do anything to document it clearly. This is when I should have called Marion. This is when I should have admitted I needed help. But I didn't, because I'm an idiot. Day 11. The encounter. On my 11th night in Point Pleasant, I decided to climb to the top of one of the TNT bunkers. It was stupid, the concrete was crumbling, there were no railings, and I was doing it alone in the dark. But from the top, I'd have a 360-degree view and could see anything approaching. I made it to the top, set up my equipment, and waited. Around midnight, I heard the wings again. Closer this time, much closer. I grabbed my camera and scanned the sky. The Mothman landed on a bunker about 30 yards away. I could see it clearly for the first time. 7 feet tall, hunched forward, with massive wings folded against its body. The body was humanoid but covered in gray feathers or fine fur. The head was proportionally small with no visible neck. And the eyes huge, round, glowing bright red in the darkness. It was looking at me, directly at me, not with animal curiosity but with intelligence and something else. Assessment? Warning? Couldn't tell. I raised my camera and took a photo. The flash went off. The Mothman's wings snapped open, a sound like sails catching wind. It was enormous, easily 10 feet of wingspan. Then it launched itself into the air, flying directly at me. I stumbled backward, lost my footing on the crumbling concrete, and fell. The fall. I don't remember the fall itself. I remember the Mothman flying at me. Remember the terror. Remember thinking, this is it. Then nothing until I woke up on the ground, pain shooting through my left leg and ribs. I'd fallen approximately 15 feet, landing on grass and scattered debris. My leg was definitely broken. I could see the unnatural angle even in the dark. My ribs screamed with every breath. My camera was smashed, the expensive equipment I'd brought destroyed. And I was alone, in the middle of the TNT area at night, unable to walk. I fumbled for my phone. It was cracked but functional. I called 911, gave them my location as best I could, then made the call I'd been dreading. I called Marion. Marion arrives. Marion answered on the third ring. Michael? It's midnight. What's wrong? I'm hurt. Fell off a bunker at the TNT area. Broken leg, maybe broken ribs. Ambulance is coming, but I need you. What were you doing climbing a bunker at night alone? No, never mind, of course you were. Where's your equipment? Smashed. But Marion, I saw it. The Mothman. Clear as day before I fell. It flew at me and we'll talk about it when I get there. Don't move, don't try to walk. I'm in Ohio. I can be there in 4 hours. You're in Ohio? What are you doing in Ohio? Following up on some Loveland Frogman reports. Unlike you, I plan my investigations. Stay put, Michael. She hung up. The ambulance arrived 20 minutes later. They got me to the hospital, confirmed the broken leg and 3 cracked ribs, and set me up in a room with painkillers and strict instructions not to move. Marion arrived at 5 a.m., looking exhausted and annoyed. Hey sis, I said weakly. You're an idiot, she replied, but she was smiling slightly. Marion takes over. Over the next 2 days, while I was stuck in the hospital, Marion took over my investigation. And by took over, I mean she completely reorganized it, threw out half my approach, and started from scratch with her typical methodical, boring, incredibly effective style. She interviewed all my witnesses again, asking different questions, taking detailed notes. She reviewed the local historical records at the library. She spoke with indigenous Shawnee representatives about traditional stories of flying creatures. She contacted the Mothman Museum and the local historical society. She did everything I should have done and didn't because I was too focused on getting dramatic footage. When she visited me on day 3, she brought a notebook filled with observations. Okay, here's what I've learned that you missed, she said, sitting beside my hospital bed. First, the recent sightings cluster around 3 locations: the TNT area, the old power plant, and the Silver Bridge Memorial Site. Second, all the witnesses reported the same sense of dread, a feeling that disaster was imminent. Third, there are no reports of the Mothman actually attacking anyone. You're the only injury, and that was because you fell, not because it struck you. It flew at me, I protested. It flew at you after you took a flash photograph of it. That's defensive behavior, not aggressive predation. You startled it, it responded. So it's not dangerous? I didn't say that. I said it's not a predator. But Michael, the Mothman's reputation as a harbinger is consistent across decades. People see it before disasters. The original sightings occurred before the Silver Bridge collapse that killed 46 people. If it's appearing now, if sightings are increasing, you think something bad is going to happen? I think the witness's sense of dread might be significant. I think we should take it seriously. The joint investigation. Once I was released from the hospital on crutches, Marion and I began working together, though together is generous. Mostly, she investigated and I hobbled along taking notes because I couldn't do much else. Marion's approach was completely different from mine. Where I would rush to a location, she would research it first. Where I would interview witnesses casually, she would prepare structured questions. Where I would set up cameras opportunistically, she would plan systematic coverage. Where I would go alone at night, she insisted on backup and safety protocols. It was boring and methodical and completely effective. Within 3 days, she documented patterns I'd missed. The Mothman appeared most frequently near sites associated with the original 1967 sightings and the bridge collapse. Witnesses consistently reported electromagnetic disturbances, watches stopping, electronics malfunctioning. The creature seemed to be following a patrol pattern, suggesting territorial behavior. Local wildlife, particularly birds, avoided areas where the Mothman was active. It's not just appearing randomly, Marion explained. It's monitoring specific sites. The question is why. Maybe it lives here? Maybe these are nesting sites. Possible. Or maybe it's drawn to locations of tragedy or potential disaster. The harbinger theory isn't just folklore. There might be a genuine connection between its presence and coming events. That's kind of woo-woo for you, isn't it? She shrugged. I'm learning to be open to possibilities that don't fit conventional biological models. The Mothman might not be simply a cryptid in the zoological sense. It might be something else, a phenomenon, an entity, something that exists between categories. This was new. The Marion I knew was strictly biological, strictly scientific. This openness to other possibilities was different, interesting even. Day 15, the clear footage. Marion had been setting up remote cameras for a week, systematic coverage of all the hotspots. On day 15, one of them captured remarkable footage. The video showed the old Silver Bridge Memorial Site at night. For several minutes, nothing moved. Then the Mothman entered the frame, actually walking on two legs like a human, across the memorial plaza. The footage was clear. The creature's height, approximately 7 feet. The hunched posture, the massive wings folded against its back, and most strikingly, the eyes, glowing red even without direct light source, suggesting bioluminescence or some other mechanism. It walked to the memorial plaque, stood before it for approximately 2 minutes, then spread its wings and launched itself into the air, disappearing from frame. What was it doing? I asked, watching the footage for the 5th time. I don't know. Mourning? Commemorating? Warning? Marion shook her head. The behavior suggests intelligence and purpose. This isn't random animal movement. It went to that specific location deliberately. We need to show this to people. This is proof. Proof of what? That something unusual exists? We already knew that. Michael, releasing this footage would bring every cryptid hunter, every paranormal investigator, every tourist with a camera to Point Pleasant. Is that what we want? Yes, that's exactly what we want. Recognition, validation, proof that we're not crazy. At what cost? This creature has existed here for decades, possibly longer. It's managed to survive by remaining mostly hidden, making it famous, turning it into a spectacle that could destroy whatever ecological or phenomenological niche it occupies. We argued about this for hours. Marion wanted to document quietly, protect the phenomenon, use the information to advocate for conservation without full disclosure. I wanted to release everything, get the recognition we deserved, prove to the world that the Mothman was real. We couldn't reach consensus. Day 17, the prophecy. On day 17, something happened that validated Marion's caution and my worst fears. An elderly woman named Margaret Simmons came to the diner where we'd been conducting interviews. She was in her 80s, had lived in Point Pleasant her entire life, and claimed to have seen the Mothman before the 1967 bridge collapse. I saw it then and I'm seeing it now, she said, her voice shaking. And I'm telling you, something terrible is going to happen, just like before. Marion. Mrs. Simmons? What makes you certain something bad is coming? MS. The pattern. In 1967, the sightings increased in the weeks before the bridge collapsed. More frequent, more witnesses, more aggressive behavior. It was trying to warn us, but we didn't listen. Now it's happening again. Michael, what specifically are you seeing? MS. Last week, I saw it perched on the roof of the old power plant. Night before last, I saw it flying over the new bridge. It's watching the infrastructure, the places where people gather. It's trying to tell us something. Marion, do you think it causes disasters or predicts them? MS. Neither. I think it's drawn to them. Like how animals can sense earthquakes before they happen, the Mothman can sense tragedy. It appears because something bad is coming, not because it's causing it. Michael, so what should we do? MS. Watch the bridges. Watch the power plant. Watch the places where lots of people are. And pray I'm wrong. After she left, Marion and I looked at each other. She could be wrong, I said. She could be a confused old woman connecting unrelated things. Or she could be right. Michael, if there's even a chance she's right, we need to take this seriously. We need to warn people. Warn them how? Hey, we saw a cryptid, so maybe don't use the bridge? They'll laugh us out of town. Marion pulled out her phone. I'm calling the local authorities anyway. Anonymous tip about potential infrastructure issues. Let them check. They won't find anything. Maybe. But if something does happen and we didn't at least try to warn someone, I couldn't live with that. Day 18. The bridge. Marian's anonymous tip led to an inspection of the new bridge. I thought it was paranoid nonsense, but I was wrong. The inspection revealed structural issues, corrosion in support cables, stress fractures in key connection points. Not immediately catastrophic, but serious enough that the bridge was closed for emergency repairs. Holy shit, I said when we heard the news. The Mothman was warning about the bridge. Or Margaret Simmons's observations about its behavior patterns were correct, Marian said. Either way, the warning was real. No one officially connected the Mothman sightings to the bridge inspection. The authorities attributed the problems to normal aging and inspection protocols. But Marian and I knew differently. The Mothman had been warning us, and we'd listened. Day 20, the departure. With the bridge closed for repairs and the immediate danger averted, Marian and I prepared to leave Point Pleasant. We documented the Mothman extensively, prevented a potential disaster, and completely failed to agree on what to do with our evidence. I'm publishing this, I said. The footage, the witness testimonies, all of it. This is too important to keep quiet. And I'm asking you not to, Marian replied. Michael, think about what happens if you release this. This town will be overrun. The Mothman will go from mysterious phenomenon to tourist attraction. Whatever purpose it serves, whatever it is, will be compromised. People deserve to know the truth. People deserve a lot of things. That doesn't mean we should give them everything they want. We were at an impasse. I wanted recognition and proof. Marian wanted protection and privacy for the phenomenon. Neither of us would budge. Fine, I said finally. I'm releasing the footage. You can write whatever ethical objections you want, but I'm doing it. Marian looked at me for a long moment. If you do that, we're done working together. I can't support that approach. I won't. Then I guess we're done. We packed separately and left Point Pleasant separately. I headed home to edit my footage and prepare it for release. Marian went back to Ohio to continue her Loveland Frogman research. We didn't speak for 3 years after that. Aftermath, what I released. In December 2022, I released a YouTube video titled Mothman, The Definitive Proof. It included the clear footage Marian had captured, my witness interviews, and dramatic narration about our investigation. It got 2.3 million views in the first week. My channel exploded in popularity. I was invited to cryptid conferences, paranormal podcasts, even a Netflix documentary about Point Pleasant. I became exactly what I wanted to be, a recognized cryptid investigator with proof that couldn't be easily dismissed. Point Pleasant's tourism increased by 40% the following year. The Mothman Festival grew to twice its previous size. New businesses opened to cater to cryptid tourism. The town embraced it, mostly more visitors meant more money. But something was lost. The Mothman sightings decreased dramatically after my video went viral. The locals I'd interviewed stopped seeing it. The sense of mystery and danger that had hung over the town faded. It was like the phenomenon itself had retreated, unwilling to remain in the spotlight. Reflection 3 years later. It's now 2025, and I'm writing this report as part of a larger project to document my investigations. Marian and I still aren't speaking. She was right about the consequences of releasing the footage, and I was too proud to admit it. The Mothman hasn't been reliably sighted in Point Pleasant since early 2023. A few tourist claims, a few obvious hoaxes, but nothing like the genuine encounters from 2022. Whatever it was, wherever it came from, it's gone now. I got my fame. I got my recognition. And I drove away something remarkable in the process. Marian understood something I didn't, that some phenomena are fragile, that exposure can destroy what it documents, that proof comes with costs. I was so focused on being right, on being recognized, that I didn't consider what we'd lose. She tried to tell me. She argued. She pleaded. She even threatened to end our partnership. And I did it anyway because I was arrogant and short-sighted. I've heard through mutual colleagues that Marian has continued her research, that she's investigated several other cryptids with her careful, ethical approach, that she's documented remarkable things but chosen to keep much of it private, that she's developed a reputation in cryptozoology circles as someone who can be trusted, who puts the welfare of the creatures above personal glory. Meanwhile, I'm the guy who got the views but lost the mystery. If I could go back, I'd do it differently. I'd listen to my sister. I'd prioritize protection over proof. I'd understand that some things are more valuable when they remain mysterious. But I can't go back. All I can do is document what happened, acknowledge my mistakes, and hope that someday Marion will forgive me enough that we can work together again. Because she was right, and I miss working with someone who actually knew what we were doing. Technical notes. The evidence. For anyone reading this as a researcher, here's what we documented in Point Pleasant. Visual evidence. Multiple photographs showing a large, winged creature with glowing red eyes. Clear video footage of the entity walking on two legs and launching into flight. Consistent descriptions across multiple independent witnesses. Physical characteristics. Height. Approximately 7 feet when upright. Wingspan. Approximately 10 feet. Eyes. Glowing red, possibly bioluminescent. Body. Humanoid structure, covered in gray feathers or fine fur. Movement. Capable of both bipedal walking and powered flight. Behavioral observations. Territorial patrol patterns around specific sites. Apparent awareness of and reaction to human observers. Defensive responses when startled but no predatory attacks. Possible connection to locations of historical tragedy. Correlation with infrastructure issues, bridge problems. Environmental effects. Electromagnetic disturbances reported by witnesses. Wildlife avoidance of areas where creature was active. Witness reports of psychological effects. Sense of dread, premonition. Conclusions. The Mothman is real. Whether it's a biological entity, a phenomenon, or something that exists between categories, I can't definitively say. But it exists, it demonstrates intelligence, and it appears to serve some purpose related to warning about or monitoring potential disasters. And I, in my arrogance, drove it away by making it too famous to function. Final thoughts. Marion was right. About the ethics, about the consequences, about everything. I was wrong. And it took me 3 years to admit that in writing. I don't know if she'll ever read this report. I don't know if she'd even want to. But if you do, Marion, I'm sorry. You tried to make me understand, and I wouldn't listen. You tried to protect something remarkable, and I destroyed it for views and recognition. I'm still a cryptid investigator. I still believe in documenting the unknown. But I'm trying to do it differently now, more carefully, with more consideration for consequences. I'm trying to be more like you were in Point Pleasant, thoughtful, ethical, protective. It's not natural for me. I'm still impulsive, still too focused on the thrill. But I'm trying. Maybe someday we can work together again. And if we do, I'll listen this time. Promise. The Mothman was real. I proved it. And in proving it, I lost it. That's the lesson I learned in Point Pleasant. Sometimes the hunt isn't worth the cost. Michael Thatcher, independent cryptozoologist. October 2025. I wanted proof. I got proof. And I learned that proof without wisdom is just destruction with documentation. Marion tried to teach me that. I didn't listen. The Mothman paid the price.